Welcome back to Indy Ball Nation. Long time no see. Thanks for coming by. If you're on YouTube, you can already see we've got a map up, which means some sort of shenanigans is happening here, and I'm probably about to talk about something dumb. That's fine. If you're listening on an audio medium, thank you. If you want to switch over to YouTube and watch this instead, that's fine. If not, I'll try to do my best to describe what we're talking about, and you can just use your imagination to follow along on the great journey that we will be on here. You know, if you're driving your car down the road, it's like you're already on the road trip with us. Just close your eyes and imagine the highway you're flying down is the highway I'm talking about. Yeah, that'll be fine. What we're talking about is a tweet that I put together yesterday. It's a dumb tweet. It was typical. It's how Indy Ball Nation does things. I looked around and I said, I wonder. And then I did something and a bunch of people expressed interest in the weird thing I thought about, which is why I love the people that follow this channel. Because you're sickos like me. We are one together, and that's beautiful. A season of togetherness, truly. And I was like, well, I'm looking for a video to do to really kick off the new year. Why not make it something nonsensical and follow up on this? The tweet itself, if you didn't see it, was about a hypothetical road trip to every Indy Ball ballpark using the current schedule for this 2025 season coming up. And it would be a disaster, for sure, but a disaster that is always enticing. I think a lot of baseball sickos have the dream to make something like this happen, typically with Major League parks, occasionally with minor league parks, rarely with Indy Ball parks. You know, but we're not here to be well-adjusted, are we? No, we're not. We see people who are well-adjusted and go, gross. So, let's take a look at what this road trip looks like. For funsies, let's identify the issues and the challenges. Am I thinking about really doing this? Not really. I mean, like, kicking it around because so many people were interested. I'm kind of like, okay, maybe. That's kind of fun. Realistically, probably not. For multiple issues, which will probably come up along the way, but mostly money, because it costs money, and also it's really hard to make money while you're doing something like this, right? Because full-time employment's important. Thanks, economy. Blame the economy? All right. It's the economy, stupid. Anyway, so let's talk about this. And for those of you who are watching the map, you can follow along on this adventure. We are starting from starting location, also known as my home. If you figure out where I live, that's whatever. It is what it is. You know, it is what it is. I don't know. Come and find me and leave me something stupid, like preferably a gift. But if it's poop in a bag, that's how it goes. Let's talk about how this trip is going to go. It's going to be a start and stop. It's all centered around finishing the trip and starting the trip in Reading, where I live, Pennsylvania, not England. That would be weird. But speaking of England, let's talk about New England, which is the first stop on this trip. It would start traveling up for the May 20 game, probably start the day before, because why not? But it'll be the New England Knockouts against the Tri-City Valley Cats. Get New England out of the way early, which works perfectly because I'm fascinated by what's going on up there. That will be an upcoming video soon, digging into what's going on with New England. Are they rebranding? What's the new ownership situation? Spoiler alert, it's the Boulders. And what are we doing with that now? Never noticed. This looks like a racetrack, by the way. I wonder what that's up to. Sorry for the non-video people. There'll be a few of those moments where my ADHD goes, but talk about the thing you're staring at. Any hoodles. But trip number one, rip it off like a Band-Aid. Let's see what this place looks like right now. And then we're going to sort of the high point of the Frontier League. Not the high point rockers of it, but the back-to-back-to-back champs up in Quebec, seeing the Capitals. That'll be 2 days later. They're taking on the Boulders on May 22nd. Both these drives are about a little over 6.5 hours, more like 7. We'll talk about mileage and minutes driven at the end, as well as whenever it's relevant. And then next day, we're going to take the short drive over. We're going to catch Trois Rivières. And they are going to be playing Sussex County for that one. So that's a nice convenient drive there, only like 80 miles, which is nice to have a travel partner. Much appreciated. Where are we heading to next? Oh, we're staying in Canada. Got to stay in Canada. Doing this all in one shot. And this is assuming Canada's gotten cool with some things, because your boy liked to party in Canada, didn't always appreciate that. Ryan lore continues. Traveling over, we got Ottawa. Excited to see that. All the Canadian parks fascinate me. And I know, you got to go back to Winnipeg at some point. We'll circle back, I promise. But that's on the Fargo extent of this drive, which different conversation entirely. But just like that, May 25th, we've knocked out, 4 games. So the Canadians and New England are out. And we are going to start our trek back toward home for a few days here, hitting the New York Boulders game 2 days later on May 27th. They're actually playing Trois Rivières, so plenty of French in my system to start this trip, and then we're going to go back on the English side for the rest of it. Can't go to New York without at least a quick detour, 30 miles to what we'll call it the southeast, to Paterson, New Jersey to see the New Jersey Jackals. Oh, it was not southeast. That's a tough one. Google Earth just did me dirty. It's southwest slightly. Look, Tri-State is very confusing up there. I don't know. But that's a tough one. But if you see a high school football stadium, you know you're at the New Jersey Jackals. Going to see a game there, and then I'm going to detox from that little adventure back to Reading. That last Jersey game would be May 28th against Ottawa, by the way. So more Canadian baseball in my life as I return home. Now, they've got a few days off before we hit our next game, which is June 3rd. It will be a Long Island Ducks game. These return trips home are basically just logistically sensible because at this point it gives me a attempt to like think about what I've done and maybe bail out of the idea as we land here in Long Island to catch the first Atlantic League game of this tour. Yeah, and also I'm married and like, talk about ruining my life. If a trip like this ends up ruining a marriage, though I don't think it would. You'll marry me without being kind of down for the chaos. But that would be a bad look. That's a tough one to explain to your friends and family. What happened with that with you and Jackie? Well, she has common sense. So we're up in Long Island for this one. This is a June 3rd game with Southern Maryland. And then we're back to the Frontier League, catching a game at Skyland Stadium, seeing Sussex County take on Trois Rivières again. What is happening? How many times am I seeing them in this first couple weeks here? So just gotta love the fact that Sussex County plays in the middle of like fields and woods. So funny. Such a vibe for like that part of New Jersey. And then from Sussex County, we are hitting home again back to Reading, Pennsylvania. And then where are we going to go from there? We're going to go back northeast. There's a lot of northeast travel. The Amtrak lines would love it if I'd actually take Amtrak, but Amtrak's a terrible product, so I won't do that. But as we go back up to Staten Island, I hopefully would take the ferry. That's on my bucket list. I have not been to Staten Island yet, which is weird. Like, I've been to the place, not the team, though. So got to think about that one. I definitely want to do it right, though, and that takes a little bit of logistical planning. So different conversation for a different day, certainly. Then we're going to head right from Staten Island, which is a June 22nd game. There's a couple weeks at home there where I really can contemplate what I'm doing. But if I'm in on this, I'm probably in on this. Let's be honest here. Then we're going to Tri-City, see the Valley Cats up in Troy, New York. Tri-City is taking on, what we got? I got another Canadian game. We're playing Ottawa on June 24th. So, yikes. Anyway, back home, and then we're going to do a lot of back and forth because I got the local teams to me. So we're going to go right from there, a day at home to Lancaster on June 26th, playing York. So that's a quick drive. That is just what? Oh, man, 38 miles from my house? Wow, it's actually closer than I even remembered. 47-minute drive, going back home here again, taking the journey with me, and then we're going to come right back down a similar path because we're going to go to York, which is also, York is about 60 miles from me. That's actually a little bit further than I remembered. I've just been there. There is no excuse for this type of memory lapse, but we are in it now. From there, York is going back to Reading for, I believe, my final stop at home before knocking out the next. Oh, how many? I can do a quick count for this one. I will not be home again until about 40 games from then. So this hypothetical road trip is going to test a lot of things, including like a military wandering too deep into Russia. It's just going to test the supply lines, that's for sure. So down to Hagerstown here as I leave home for the final time for a couple months. This is a June 29th game with Long Island. From Hagerstown, the natural direction will be to continue in Maryland, and we are going to go to Southern Maryland to see the Blue Crabs take on Hagerstown. So get back-to-back Hagerstown games there. That'll be June 29th and July 1st, a day in between. Might venture home in between. We'll see. Feels like an unnecessary back and forth, but like at a certain point, I'm not going to be home for a while. This is hypothetical. Why am I this into the weeds? It's because it's who I am. Doesn't matter. Southern Maryland, we are then going to take a bit of a drive. This will be the longest drive so far because we are going to go from, no, it's not. The drive up to Canada was so long in this hypothetical. The hypothetical drive up to hypothetical Canada is so long. But we are going to take a 5-hour trek then to High Point to see the Rockers on July 3rd. At least I got an off day in between there. Then we'll be lighting some fireworks off on July 4th at the newest team in the Frontier League. I guess we'll call them the newest. I mean, Mississippi's right there, but we're staying in North Carolina. We're going to go to Kinston. Yeah, it would be nice to do High Point and Gastonia together, but life's a nightmare and the schedules didn't work out that way. So High Point on July 3rd, down east on July 4th, and then back over to Gastonia on July 6th. Fairly long drive across the state of North Carolina. Every drive is. When you got to go around the mountains, it's just chaos. But I'm a NASCAR fan. I'm used to driving through North Carolina for weird things, so it's fine. Then we're going to check out the other new team in the Frontier League, who I just referenced. I'm going to have a day off in between the July 6th Gastonia game versus the Rockers, and we are heading to Pearl, Mississippi. This is a long drive, 600 miles, just under 10 hours. It'll be Mississippi against the Windy City Thunderbolts, checking out the ballpark there, seeing operations. They have like 3 people hired or something down there, so that's going to be an adventure. The whole early season to mid-season there is going to be fascinating to watch. So we'll be looking closely there. Might do a catch-up video on how they're doing. We'll see. I have ideas with them, but I don't know who's even there to contact, so can't really talk to them right now. But I would love to do a building an Indy Ball organization type of video at some point, but if not this year, another year for sure. Now that we're in Mississippi, we're catching the July 8th game there. We have another long drive, 450 miles to Texas to catch our first American Association action of this tour. It'll be Cleburne with Lincoln in this game. That will be the July 10th game. Another day off because this will be the longest drive so far. 787 miles, over 12 and a half hours of driving. We are going Cleburne to Evansville in a brutal trek, which is, you got to make the leap at some point to connect down south and also then get back to the Midwest pod of teams. And that's how this is going to go. I'd be very excited to go to Evansville. Got some friends over there. I think the ballpark's fascinating. So I'd be excited about at least the whole time that I'm just driving, just not trying to lose my mind. What states am I even going through for this drive? Let's backtrack this map real quick. Oh, no. What are you? Staying in Missouri, staying wet, all the way through Arkansas, cut through Missouri, bottom of Illinois, bottom of Indiana to Evansville. Sheesh, that's the definition of a fun drive. Not a lot of sights on that one. That's a long 12 hours. That's one you don't mind doing at night, frankly, because it's not there's nothing worse than driving through the Rocky Mountains at night, and you're you just know it's gorgeous. No offense, that Arkansas drive's going to hurt. Right, but we're staying pretty close at least to Evansville because the next drive is only 200 miles. That's how my life is going at this point in this hypothetical road trip. But we're going to Florence. We're seeing the water tower. We're checking out the Powder Blues with the Florence Yalls. Been to that ballpark before. Have not seen a game there yet. But remember, I lived in Lexington for a while. So, I got to cruise the parking lot like a normal person would when driving past an Indy Ball ballpark. All right. Next trip, we're going back to the Atlantic League. We're going to see Charleston for a game. Used to work with their owner. Don't know if this would be a friendly interaction, but I got friends in Charleston on the team, so I assume I will be fine. I do have a soft spot for Charleston. I love West Virginia. Those of you who have followed along for a while do know this. I am a sicko, and I am in love with West Virginia and Charleston, so I will be making the most of this trip for sure. Going to their travel partner in the Atlantic League, though, we are going to go to Lexington, which is about a 2.5 to 3 hour drive, depending on if you're speeding or not. I should catch you up on some dates here. Again, needed the obvious day off going Cleburne to Evansville, but then I call it July 12th, Evansville versus Gateway in Evansville. The Florence game was against Joliet in this hypothetical on July 13th. Take a day off to get to from Florence to Charleston, not necessarily for the drive, but more, I think, logistically for the schedule. There might have been a Monday in between there. And then we're going to Lexington for Lexington and Gastonia. From Lexington, got a bit of it's 5 hours. It's so funny. Things don't seem like that much of a drive when compared to everything else, but it's a bit of a drive. I mislabeled Gateway in the tweet because I had to remember what town they were in, so I replaced it in my spreadsheet, called it Sauget, Illinois, and then left it by accident, and then everyone's like, we're not the Sauget Grizzlies. Got 2 different things about that. Sorry, my bad. I don't know. Gateway's not a town. Never mind. I'm not getting into this. We're keeping it moving. We still have a lot of road trip left. We're not there yet. Anyway, we're seeing Gateway. That's July 19th. They are playing Schaumburg, so that's exciting. Then we got from Gateway, we're going to Kansas City to see the Monarchs take on Fargo. That, by the way, could be a very interesting game. Really good taste of American Association lore on that one as I adjust my seat because I'm getting uncomfortable even sitting here for this. Also, I'd be lying if I didn't say I was excited to check out Kansas Speedway. I would definitely be going. If I could line this up with a race, I would try. I don't know if I'd be able to. I think their schedule doesn't line up at all, unfortunately. I think it's intentional, which is obvious. I don't know. Never mind. Different conversation. I would check out Sporting KC if I cared, but instead, no. Cars go in circles. I like cars go circles. Lincoln, we're going to Lincoln after this one. So we're seeing Kansas City against Fargo, then we're seeing Lincoln against Winnipeg in Lincoln. That drive is only 200 miles, so 3 hours of driving on that one. Tack that onto the total, and then we are taking a hike because we are getting into the Pioneer League stretch of this schedule. Pioneer League stretch. So the Pioneer League takes up about a fifth of the Indy Ball landscape, while taking up roughly a third of the mileage of this road trip and nearly 40% of the drive time. So Pioneer League, here we go. Chip in on gas if you'd like. We're heading from Lincoln to Rocky Mountain over to Colorado Springs, if I am correct, to see the Rocky Mountain vibes take on Yuba Sutter. I'm excited for the views, that's for sure. Less excited for the 8-hour drive from Lincoln to Rocky Mountain. That feels like it could be a long one. Then we're going from Rocky Mountain. We're staying in Colorado. We're going to Grand Junction, another team that I'm working on a video about because they got a weird ownership thing and threatening to move the team. They're trying to like Oakland A's this thing, which feels weird, man. Read the room. But yeah, that's a whole other thing. We'll get into it. But Grand Junction Jackalop's still one of my favorite brands out there, by the way. So they're doing something right. Then we are going from Grand Junction to Ogden, Utah. Say hello to the Mormon friends. And we're going to keep the Mormon theme going because we're talking to Yuba in quite a bit, which means Billy Horton, one of my favorite Mormons, top Mormon in my book. I can put out a top 5 if you would like. Andy Reid's in there too. A lot of sports coaches, what I'm saying. Bryce Harper's in there too. Not a coach, not yet. But anyway, where were we? We're in Ogden, Utah, obviously. Going to check out the views, check out the mountains. And they have some like crazy stuff going on with like their view. That's not the way to do that. That's not the way to navigate. Oh yeah, there's a mountain there for those of you who are watching on a visual platform. So there's Ogden. We're going to go then a long drive. This will be, I believe, the longest one. Nope, second longest one yet, because we are going from Ogden to Oakland. Utah to Oakland. Real juxtaposition of things. Real BYU versus Colorado vibe. Let's see. Ogden. So Ogden's playing Boise. Then Oakland's playing Northern Colorado at this game. We are currently at July 27th, by the way. So I took an extra day to get to Rocky Mountain. Saw a game on July 22nd. Grand Junction, July 24th. And then Ogden, July 25th. Day off, going to Oakland, July 27th. Spending a day hanging around in California before catching, I believe it's a Monday off day, which is why I'm hanging around there, before heading to the newest Pioneer League location, not new team, but location, coming from Oakland Raymondes Park to Marysville to see Bryant Field, which is getting upgraded right now. I'm very excited about that for them. Seems like a very excited community for this team, so that's really fun. Yep, Marysville and Yuba Sutter high wheelers, which will take a little bit. That's a mouthful. I wish they could have shortened that, but I like the high wheeler branding, so if you got to do that to keep it, do that to keep it. Anyway, yeah, Yuba's going to play Oakland, so we get a taste of that California rivalry. And then I got a tough one because I'm trying to get to the next day's game, but I have about a 9-hour drive to get there. So that's going to be a haul. That's going to be one of the tough ones here. But we are going from Yuba to Boise, bouncing all over. And this is one where Pioneer League schedule, because there's only certain places you can fit the Pioneer League pod, right? Because you got to go out and back. So it kind of has to be in the middle of things if we're doing a road trip east to west and back east. And nowhere within that did it fit properly that like I could line up all the teams together. So you're going to see some back and forth here, which would drive me nuts while I'm doing this. But it's a hypothetical road trip, so at least I'm only hypothetically going crazy at this point. We are seeing Boise on hypothetically July 30th, and then we're taking a 4-hour drive across Idaho to Idaho Falls to see Idaho Falls take on the Glacier Range Riders. Very excited to see. Actually, I'm excited to see all the Pioneer League parks. So this would be a great part of the road trip. At least, again, if you're going to have a brutal drive, look forward to something. So at least in the words of Caddyshack, I got that going for me, which is nice. From Idaho Falls, this is one where not necessarily where I'd like to design this road trip to go, but we're going to go to Northern Colorado to see the Northern Colorado Owls in Windsor versus Ogden. It's a roughly 9-hour drive. We got a day off, though, between the July 31st in Idaho Falls to August 2nd in Northern Colorado, Windsor, whatever you want to call it. So that's great. Another tough drive, though, because we got a 7-hour drive for the next day, August 3rd game. I hope it's not a camp day game because that would absolutely shoot this plan in the face. But it would be going to Billings to see Billings and Great Falls so I can get those Montana teams started to be checked off here. From Billings, we're going to stay in Montana. We're going to go Great Falls. At least I got day off. That's sick. All right, day off. And then August 5th, we got Great Falls and Billings, actually, so that works out. Okay, one hopefully seamless edit later because Google Earth understandably just rage quit on me. We are in Billings. We're going to keep it in Montana. We're going to go to Great Falls here. That's not too bad of a drive, question mark. 219 miles. We'll take that as a win. We're coming down the home stretch here, by the way. It is August 5th at this point. And we're going to have back-to-back days off to hang out in beautiful Montana. I get to pretend to be Kevin Costner for a minute. It'll be great. And then we're heading to Missoula, the old powerhouse of the Pioneer League. Seeing if they can get it done here for a championship run. This time around, we are going to see the Paddleheads take on the Vibes on August 8th, hypothetically. Missoula, then I will stay again in Montana. There we go. Not too bad. Not too bad on the plane there, Ryan. Going up to Kalispell to see Glacier take on Billings. And it's only a 2.5 hour drive. Not bad. That's August 9th. And then the next day, nope, can't be the next day. Here's one that I'm going to have to figure out. What day of the week is August 11th? Because this could be a disaster. Oh, no. Oh, no. We might have a flaw here. Okay. Herein lies the issue. So it's going to be a day game. No, it's not. There's going to be no way to pull this off. So here is the one thing I have found now. Too long of a drive, Glacier to Sioux Falls. It's going to be a long drive. But I have it planned to be the next day. Can't do that. Can't do, especially because it'd be like a Saturday evening, probably to a Sunday afternoon. Physically impossible. So Sioux Falls, you're going to have to float here. I'm going to have to figure out how I'm going to knock out Sioux Falls at some point to be. But Sioux Falls does seem to be a good connector here. So my bad. Okay, look, scheduling is hard. I'll figure it out, okay? There's going to be other issues here. You know I'm going to run immediately into rainouts, especially those April games in the Northeast because I'm dumb, or May, whatever it is. It's going to be a problem. So anyway, we'll go Sioux Falls. We'll figure it out. But the next goal would be to get up to Winnipeg, and we'll pick up from there. Winnipeg, we'll be playing Cleburne on August 12th. That feels like a good launching pad to sort of wrap this thing up as I'm heading back home. Oh, man, I always forget that park's like right on the river. Interesting. Any hoodles. Continuing on here from Winnipeg, we are going to go back down stateside for the final time. We're going to see Fargo taking on Sioux City. That's about a 3.5, 4 hour drive to see Fargo. Moorhead take them to take that off the list. Then we're heading back towards Sioux City. This is about the opening where if I want to, I might be able to squeeze Sioux Falls in because I have a day off on either side of the Sioux City thing. And I think a Sioux City game, I think could try to go Fargo, Sioux Falls, Sioux City, depending on scheduling. I'll figure it out. Doesn't matter. It's a hypothetical. I'm not going to stress about it. Whatever. Where are we going from Iowa? Absolutely brutal drive. This is, I think, the worst. No. Is it? No, it's not that bad. The worst drive is Glacier to Sioux Falls, which luckily I completely misscheduled, so that's going to be a disaster. I'm heading over to Wisconsin, though, from Sioux City, Iowa. August 15th, seeing that Sioux City game with Winnipeg. August 17th, going to see Lake Country and Sioux Falls. That is a 7-hour drive out to Lake Country, but I got a full day to do it, so that's fine. Don't know where the ballpark even. I guess is the ballpark not even on the map? No way. How about it? Anyway, Milwaukee Milkmen. Then I think it's the shortest drive. I said. I tweeted about it. 33 miles, 35 minutes between the two teams. So I think that's the shortest drive I would have across this entire trip. Not too shabby. Also another ballpark down there, Wisconsin. Google Earth, figure it out. From Milwaukee, we are going to Schaumburg on August 20th, only an hour and a half. All these Midwest ones. This is like a nice break. I could, if they were double headers, I would try to like schedule day night between these ones because they're all. I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 drives here on this stretch with an average time frame of 50 minutes. So not too bad at all. Schaumburg, August 20th with Gateway. The very next day, going to do Windy City to see Lake Erie take on the Windy City Thunderbolts. That's a good one. There's like tracks and weird things all over the place. You never notice until you look at it from the top. That's like a horse track, I guess. Weird. Anyway, I guess Illinois, that makes sense. Then we're going from Crestwood, Illinois to Gary, Indiana. See Gary South Shore take on Milwaukee. Then from the Gary game, we're going back a little bit west to see the Chicago Dogs. Chicago taking on Fargo on August 24th. Last few games, going from Chicago to Kane County to see, we're going to Geneva. I always forget the Dogs are that close to the airport, too. Goodness. Anyway, Chicago was crazy with the airports, but we're not going to have that conversation now. Got King County here. Going to check out the Cougars playing Gary. That's August 26th. Got a day off before knocking out the last Illinois game. We're going to see Joliet on August 27th playing Florence. And then from there, I got a fairly sizable, and really the only last painful drive. We're going from Joliet to Avon to check out the Lake Erie Crushers. Then, last but not least, we're going from Lake Erie Crushers to the Washington Wild Things back in Pennsylvania Going to see them take on Down East. Actually, both the last 2 games will be against Down East, so I'm going to just follow the road trip. Let me know if you got room on the bus. August 29th, Washington will be playing Down East. And then I am heading back home finally. So that's the dumb road trip idea. I would love to do it. I don't know that I can. There's too many logistics that are just a disaster if we're honest about it. But, if you got suggestions how to pull this off, definitely let me know. And then, the totals here, 15,083 miles roughly, 242 hours driven. It's over 104 days, 52 games, 104 days is the math actually. So that's fun. Exactly half. It would be chaos. Longest drive is the 16-hour, 52-minute one from Glacier to Sioux Falls, which I think I would have to move around a little bit because Sioux Falls is that's not going to happen. I can't do that drive. I don't know what I was thinking when I was like, yeah, that'll fly. And then there's a few short ones aren't too bad. The beginning and the end are the easy ones. The middle's difficult, probably because it's the Pioneer League. Thanks, Pioneer League. Way to be all over the place. But you're serving communities that need it, so that's good to go. Anyway, that's a dumb episode. It's fine. We're in this. I'll do another one tomorrow. How about that? I'll be back tomorrow. Enjoy. Or don't. That's fine. I appreciate you riding along on this. If you're here, sicko. Love that for you. All right. Like, subscribe, or don't. That's fine.